All right, good morning and welcome to our channel. I want to apologize for my cats, which foiled my early arrival for this video. They dropped a little treat on the floor. I think we all know what I'm talking about, and I did a banana split, and I'm lucky I'm probably not in ER right now. And the cats are lucky they're not being donated to science. So I've had a fantastic morning. So let's get on with this. Clearly, my channel and what I do is related to Section 8 housing, but today I want to talk about a different type of house being built. Though it doesn't house people, you can clap your hands and celebrate in $250 billion dance hall. We could have a square dance there at the White House pretty soon. And a couple of companies here are hoping their dollars will buy them a little bit of, I don't know, maybe a little bit of love. So RJ Reynolds, big smoke, big cigarettes, is quick to flip out the checkbook. They like a piece of the action. I always call that presidential rentals when you do stuff like that. I've never been a big fan of, making these kind of donations because it brings with it influence. Though I don't believe President Trump is an easily influenced man in terms of that. If he were given Mr. Trump, President Trump, $5 million personally, it might be a different story. So RJ Reynolds, Booz, Allen, and Hamilton sounds like a law firm. Lockhart and Martin, well, of course Lockhart's going to donate some money. They do absorb a large portion of our national expenditure for bombs and warplanes and everything else. So I expect they will always be there with a gold spoon in their hand. Looks like Next Era Energy. Sound like the energy company needs something that approved. So, nobody gives them money unless they have a reason or they're trying to buy something. So, I think they were planning at 200 million. That's a lot of money for 90,000 square feet. It's rather revealing. When you look at the photos, you'll see that the White House exposed a little bit. They probably shouldn't expose, but you can see that they have a 3 foot of concrete with a ton of rebar. You fly a bomb into the White House, you got to get through about 3 foot of concrete on any given wall or ceiling, man. I couldn't believe how much concrete they snuck in there. And then they revealed it to the world with photos today. Well, not today, as soon as they started construction. So that was rather revealing. Even the room to room, you can see there's probably a foot of concrete. You're not going to fire your Glock in the building and get anywhere with that. Okay. So, and look, for all of you that are living out there in West Virginia in the mountains and up there in Arkansas, Ozarks, look, don't come to the White House and think you're going to make a mad dash across the lawn in your flip-flops in the hope of an assassination, okay? You're going to get a machine gun breakfast, okay? That the ballroom or whether to take it down is not connected in any way, I think, probably to the White House itself. So don't try it. Don't jump the 20-foot fence and then make a mad dash in your dollar store flip-flops, okay? It ain't going to work out for you. If they've got 3 foot of concrete on the ceilings and walls, you're going to get about 10 inches before you get deported. And you might get deported with a bullet in it. You get deported to an ER somewhere in some country you're not going to like, They only serve a bean dinner once a day. You don't get complimentary flip-flops or prison soap either, okay? Your family's got to bring it to you. All right, so I got to say, with all presidents, I agree and disagree with a lot of what they do, okay? And in terms of what I do, I have to be very impartial. That means I have to be this lukewarm bastard you're watching on this video right now talking about something. So I know we talked about immigration quite a bit, and my Republican audience gobbled that up, and now today this will be a controversy, I'm sure of, because it'll feel like more I'm going to address some Democrats. But look, we're in the middle of tough times. People are eating at a fucking dollar menu at McDonald's. We're getting companies to donate $250 billion for a fucking ballroom for people to clap their feet in. It's poor timing, really. I understand this stuff's got to be done, and we got to be a leader of the rural and we've got to have glitz and glamour. But I mean, we got a lot of homeless people. Where was J.R. Reynolds Smoking Company? Okay, where the hell are they in terms of giving housing to veterans and homeless and seniors? Where was their fucking checkbook then? So, this is something that probably, needs to be done in terms to officiate our country. But I just think the time is kind of poor. But when is anything a good time? So I can argue. It can be argued from both aisles, I believe. But it starts at 200 trillion when they talked about it 6 months ago. Now it's 250. Now we're at $250 trillion. Anybody want to guess when this damn thing, when you screw in the last light bulb, will probably be at $500 billion. Okay, and we're not talking about $500 billion for a new White House. This is for a ballroom. Okay, and all these scumbags donating. Okay, they're not looking for prayer circles. R.J. Reynolds is hoping to keep the cigarettes, killing people as long as they can. And with this donation, we hope there's an understanding. Lockheed Martin, thank you for letting us inflate the price of building warplanes for 30 years. Thank you so much. We hope to continue our shitty relationship with the U.S. and suck the American taxpayer dry. We charge $15 for a lollipop. God knows the warplanes probably 10 times what it should cost, but we're putting that bill. But here's that donation. They paid for at least the chandelier in the building with an understanding. Hopefully they have an understanding. Well, I've got news for you guys that donated. I think that's fabulous that you are hoping to look really good to the public doing that. I hope you get all that your heart desires. But really, folks, if you're going to be a genuine person, donate to a cause, not to a fucking ballroom. And again, I don't have anything against the ballroom. I hope the ballroom doesn't walk home today and cry about it. But we have so many important issues in the country. When you pay $28 for a gallon of milk, we're starting to look like the Russians in their grocery stores in the 30s, because these are tough times with inflation. So I think that the ballroom is kind of the cherry on top, but it's rather suitable because we all know President Trump doesn't do anything small. There's always a big bang, and he reminds me a bit of myself when he's not giving a damn. But business, the show must go on. It really does, and so we have this, and this will be the focus of national news for quite a while. It was trending, so I'm rather shocked of the timing of this, but hell, I'm making videos about ballrooms, so it tells you with the shutdown of the government and the complete and utter collapse of Section 8 housing and other federal funds and agencies, I have to talk about ballrooms, because what else am I going to talk about? We're not talking about anything else because there's nothing else going on. We got a hell of a shutdown, and nobody's giving an inch, and that's a big problem. So while people are not getting paid or may get paid way later, we're building a ballroom to do a clap along, to do a square dance. And the folks from West Virginia and the Ozarks, it's only a matter of time when it's news, man. One of them's going to pop that fence. They're going to go down there and try to do something about it. And I guess they're going to get a pine coffin. We'll only spend 50 cents on that wooden coffin, too. We ain't spending no money on that. There won't be no donations. So they just put you, if you're lucky, you get a trash bag. If you're Republican, you get a scented trash bag. Whatever you do, don't run across the lawn. All right, so, I wish them luck with that. I hope that ballroom produces $250 billion worth of activity. It's not open to the public as far as I'm aware. You can go see it behind a red rope. I think that all Americans should have access to this, If I want to have a birthday party, why can't I have it in a $500 billion ballroom? The damn thing ain't going to do anything else most of the year. Well, we rent the ballroom out. Good God. Could you even imagine that? A $500 billion ballroom, and it's going to have 3 foot of concrete around it, of course. God knows we can't host North Korea without concrete on the wall. So here we go. We got a ballroom, and there's nothing else happening in national news. We're severely deprived as a nation because this is the topic of the hour. It's been going. It's flaming hot for 2 days. Google trending that we're dealing with a national crisis. In Portland, they're storming the city with the National Guard, and we got a ballroom. My day, that's what I thought last night. Instead of all the important things I need to do, I need to report on a $250 billion ballroom that we all know is going to turn into a $500 billion. It's like a company of its own. We got to pay the waiters in the ballroom probably $200,000-$300,000 just to come out and bring out the hors d'oeuvres. So I want to be invited to that party. And I don't mean behind those shitty red rope. I don't want no fucking appointments. I ring the doorbell, let me in. Just like our friends out there in West Virginia. They don't even ask. They just go over the fence. No offense to you guys out in West Virginia. I love you. But as long as you keep me making moonshine in the mountains, we're going to have problems. Okay? You can't come down here lit up like that. Anyways, moving on down to comments. Good morning to all of you. Princess, the Peace Frog. JG, good morning. Who else we got here today? H, Trump donates his own salary. Well, Trump's going to make a donation after everybody makes theirs. That way there's only about $1 left to donate. And don't forget, this is also, the ballroom itself is a nonprofit agency. So it'll be tax-free money for RJ Reynolds. They wrote a check, and then they'll be able to withdraw the check at the end of the year. Don't forget, these big companies can write this shit off. Because what do? We let a bunch of men around my age, about the same color as me, make the rules behind tax law. And there's 2 ways you can do tax law. You can not pay taxes like an ordinary citizen. You go to prison. When you're a politician, we just make backdoor policies in our politics that allows us to not only not commit a crime, but we get paid to commit the crime, right? And then we get to donate money that we're not really donating. We call it a loan check. It's a payday check, payday loan. We're going to pay out some money, and then we're going to withdraw it right back out. We really need to fix some of these problems. This is what happens when you let too many white folks sit up in there in the White House and Congress and the House. You get them all bashing together, and they can dream up all kinds of shit, okay? Including ways to give money and then take it right back. Sound like a pyramid scheme to me, but, that's how shit does roll up there. Now, us ordinary citizens, when we try some shit like that, you're going to get 3 hots in a cot in a federal prison. So, hey. Well, let's go on and do some more intros here today. Preppy Princess, good morning. Silver Fox, good morning. AJ, good morning. Cutie Pie, good morning. No cats today. I'm sure one's going to jump through my hair or through a lamp in a minute. So all you got to do is just hang around a few more minutes, and one of these cats of mine will show up. They don't give. They're like Donald President Trump. They don't give a damn. They're going to do what they're going to do. They don't need anybody's advice. Trust me. That's why I had that banana split this morning. AJ, I love it. It's because Jay has always got jokes. Well, I mean, while we face many crises, the military, National Guard, federal agencies, we've deported up to 500,000 people have been kicked out of the country on planes, boats, and trains, right? We're building a ballroom. We have our fucking priorities very straight in this country. While we've got things going down, we're going to build a ballroom. So, and by the way, that update, yeah, so they did, we removed 500,000. Now we've only got 21.5 million more people to remove. So, as I mentioned in 28 videos ago, if we contract every plane in America for a solid day, we could probably get most of 20 million out. But that's only if they don't run. So that means we got to have people with only one flip-flop and a hot concrete. Otherwise, it's going to be harder. A good example was Chicago. An illegal on a bicycle in front of 100 ICE agents. He drove right by them, and they couldn't even catch the bastard. He actually circled back to get his phone and still left the area. ICE ran about 10 foot, and then that was a little too much action. So maybe the British have it right. Maybe we need to adjust our diet if we're not going to cross 10 feet. And yeah, I am the pot. I am the kettle calling the pot black there, aren't I? I'm certainly not the vision of health. I've got a ding dong roll right here. I love to get it all, but shit, the more you get it, harder it works out. All right, moving back here to the comments. Stephanie Green, I'm not sure Trump plans on ever leaving the White House. Well, we all knew America wasn't going to last forever. So we just got to cross. We just got to cross those roads when we get there. But let's be honest. President Trump is in his 80s. He's not going to live forever. Okay, so this is not a China or Russia situation. Hey guys, did you also hear about? I thought they did something interesting. They made a government or state grocery store in Atlanta, working out pretty good. Food costs were lowered to the actual cost. Worked out pretty well in Atlanta, and they're thinking about doing that. I think in Washington D.C. Government grocery stores. Does that remind us of something? Go back for those of you that was if you're poor now and you were still poor 20, 30 years ago, might remember that government cheese. How many people grew up in the 80s? Get that block of government cheese. They're doing those stores, and it might be of great benefit. Look, it ain't beyond me. I'll go and get the government cheese. I don't mind. I mean, you don't have to wear your pride. Shopping, right? All right, Cutie Pie, don't forget the automatic 30% gratuity. Yep, any party over 10 at the ballroom is 30% gratuity. If you become a waiter at the ballroom, you are instantly wealthy. Now, CNN is going to be parked on the fence. I mean, their reporters are going to have the spike on the fence right up their ass. They're going to be sitting on that fence. And the first time they see somebody, this brown, working out there, swinging a hammer, it's going to be eyewitness news like you ain't never seen. I hope for the sake of everybody, they do some checks, because if they end up building this and we have illegals building the ballroom, you're talking about some hot, hot water. Things happen. President Trump can't watch everything all the time, and mistakes happen. All right, RKX, be like the cats. Yep, maybe so. CK says Trump is paying for the ballroom, not the taxpayer money. Okay, honey buns, you're really late to the conversation. I know you feel like you're doing good reporting here in the comments section, but you seem to be a bit lost. We've already discussed that. Thank you for your contribution. We're well aware that Donald Trump is going to write a check after everybody else donates. Okay, it's kind of like McDonald's. They love to accept everybody's donations. Well, when does McDonald's donate? So Lockheed Martin, 10 million, many of them are 5 million. And the trust says that you don't even need to put your name on it. So there's a lot of scary people that want to support this, but they don't want to put the name on it. If you can't put your name on something, brother, then you're not on that side of the aisle. Okay, you're just too scary. Okay, figure out what you're going to do. Get on one side of the fence. Don't be like me in this video where you're lukewarm and hot all over the shitty place. Don't do that. Don't be a circus clown. You're going to put $1 in that ballroom, you're going to donate $1, then put your name on it. Don't act like a clown. Nobody wants private donations. Let everybody know what you're about. Come out the fucking closet. All right. So anyways, Stephanie Green, Trump will want his body preserved forever. Michael Jackson tried that, but he had a little too much fentanyl. Heather, integrity's first. Well, at least that's the sing-along they do at every company is integrity. It doesn't mean that anybody's actually going to do that. Cutie Pie, standing in line for my cheese. Ain't nothing wrong with the government cheese. Nothing wrong with that old government cheese. My understanding is they used to get that out of the military depots, and they give it out in certain cities like St. Louis, so on. Anybody makes a racist comment in here is going to get put out, so don't make me do it. It's like me bending down, taking off a wet flip flop and smacking you out the channel. Okay, don't make me do it. Cutie pie, standing in line for my cheese. GG, if you are, gotta finish that sentence there. You barely finished it. So the moral of the story is hot news, breaking news, new ballroom, quarter trillion to half a trillion. Next video will be about how to become a waiter at the ballroom so you can become independently wealthy. And then see where we go from there. Other parts of the country, we're not celebrating ballrooms. We're celebrating flashbangs and military presence. I was reading today that some of the Hispanic community quit going to church. They're praying in their house. Well, I guess it depends on citizenship. And, one thing I want to make clear light of is this is not an instrumental in just immigration issues related to people who are Hispanic. Okay, they just arrested a cop. He looked about as white as you're going to get. Matter of fact, they've arrested several cops already. Anybody, any color that ain't in this country, that ain't approved to be in the country, you're gone. They'll drop you, your gun, and your badge in another nation. Okay, that's anybody. That's got to be a little bit nerve-wracking for places like New York and Jersey, California, and parts of Florida. Hell, even Texas. I got people from all over myself, so maybe the ballroom could become an immigration detention center. That'd be good use of money right there. We can put the detainees right in the ballroom. It's 90,000 square feet. Imagine how many metal prison beds we can put in there. And we can put a landing runway right on that big long strip where people like to go out and protest. That way the plane can take off. Okay, let's see what your comments. If you're going to protect the USA, then you need to protect the people. Well, that's what we all talk about around coffee, but by the end of the day, we never know if that's truly what's going to happen. One giant lie. Now you can tell anybody that names their YouTube name is one giant lie. They're on a mission. So let's see what the mission is. They're eating cats. Now that's a good way. So I don't. They better not be eating no cats. You catch me with one flip flop going out there and do some action. We don't do no cat eating. Stephanie Green, local news said Trump hasn't even heard from the zoning part. When you're the president of the largest, I should say, when you're the president of this country, there's very little stopping you. If you have a complaint, then you'll need to go all the way up to the Supreme Court. And if all your friends are in the Supreme Court, then you can really just do what the fuck you want to do. Okay? And if the president has enough friends in both the House and Congress, it means they can vote and unvote and remake laws and do whatever they want. Same thing Democrats have done whenever they've had their runs. Okay? We had 10 years of Obama. We've had, we're going on 8 years of Obama. We've had 8 years of Trump. Each party took swell care of each other. This is like 8-year run and then payback 8 years. You do it, we'll undo it. This is the game we play in America. We paint the wall every 4 years. We paint it red, then we paint it blue. We paint it red, then we paint it blue. It's rather tiring, isn't it? Well, I will say one thing for President Trump. He's gotten a plane and a ballroom out the deal. He's a good businessman. I have to admit that. That guy knows how to actually leverage people. I can only imagine trying to go against that man in real estate. He probably cuts everybody's throat. He probably buys parts of these real estate companies and makes them insolvent. He knows what he's doing, business-wise. But that's the tough part, when you have somebody that's a businessman in the White House. You're not going to like everything they do because they're business-minded. And since he's at the peak of the pyramid, he don't need anybody's permission, okay? Unless it violates law in the Supreme Court. But if the dinner table has enough people to vote one way or another, then it's the president's dinner table at the Supreme Court and the House and Congress. If you guys want it or don't want it, then you should have voted different ways, right? That's how it goes. It's good for the goose, good for the gander. I'm sure the Democrats at this point are thinking about all the wicked things they can do as soon as they can get back in there. And I'm sure they will eventually. So that's just how politics go. It's just, it just keeps washing through. Stephanie Green, that was my point. Mindhunter, 8 more years of J.D. Vance. I don't know anything about J.D. Vance. I'll probably look into that today. I loathe politics, though I do make videos about it because at least that's a good topic. It helps everybody. I make a video, get you guys hot, sweaty, and pissed off, and then I end the video, and then everybody's, mumbling and angry and walking away from the video. But, that's something to talk about. One giant lie. His real name is Trump. Okay. Taking a shot at him, huh? Humphreys. Trump Trilogy 2016. Trump, The Last Hope 2020. Return of the Democrat 2024. Return of the Trump. Huh. Okay. Miss Coffee. What an insult. Intentionally, if you know the game. Well, Miss Coffee, if you're a first-time visitor to my channel, let me tell you something about me. I'll insult anybody. I put people out the channel almost for pleasure. Okay? I'm going to do what I want. Cutie Pie. Last one to paint the wall green instead. So if we painted the wall red, we painted blue, then what would green represent? Share that with me. Mindhunter. He's a good man. He actually hated Trump at one time and called him Hitler. During his first administration, I made several videos where I actually talk mad shit about President Trump. And I didn't like much of the agenda at that time. This time, about half of his agenda. I like some of the things he's doing this time, but I don't love it, okay? Just like I liked President Obama, but I liked his personality, not so much his politics. That's okay for me to be on both sides because I've never voted for anybody and I'm not going to make any excuses. I'm just not that interested in politics. I'm more interested in seeing you guys' reaction because you guys take it personally. Let me tell you something interesting. I posted something in our channel, in our community page. It's kind of like Facebook. You can post a paragraph or a sentence and a photo. And I was discussing different states where I might move to, being the cats. We're selling off the company and then selling off assets and then getting in a travel trailer. And I'm spending my retirement, traveling the nation like old folks do. And I'm not old. I'm just doing it early. So a lot of people were giving me advice based on their political ideals. Oh, don't go to California. Here's the deal, guys. I'm going to states where I know there's gold. I want to prospect for gold for fun. And that ends up in a lot of states that may be Democratic. Sorry, not Democratic. Maybe, states that host a large number of Democratic voters. Okay. And so a lot of my Republicans were telling me, oh, Idaho, Arizona. I'm close to looking at Arizona, actually. But I thought it was funny. Let me tell you something, guys. I will never move to one place or another based on politics. Politics don't make my damn decisions on where I'm going to pursue hobbies, whether I'm going to visit a national park, or whether or not I'm going to walk my cats, okay? You guys want to make your decisions on politics, go for it. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm American, and as an American, I'm going to access all 50 states, regardless of what people vote for, okay? Because at the end of the day, politics don't run anything in my home or business. So I hope you all understand that. So anybody from Arizona, I'd love to hear from you, especially if you know anything about prospecting and gold. Certainly taking a big interest in that state, though I'm wondering if I can survive the heat. It's one of the many places I may consider temporarily crossing through to pursue a retirement. Okay. Anyways, moving back to the topic. And that's Gladney. We did great things with cheese. I bet you did. Golden Mayor of the Ballroom is to put more towards the Republican Party. So you're suggesting that this is a Republican ballroom? That's going to be tough. So that means if we get a Democrat voted into office, right, he's going to get out there with a hammer and tear it down. It's just a ballroom, guys. That's all it is. It's just a building. It has no voting rights. Christopher John, listening from the beginning. You should, Christopher, because I probably said a lot of awful things already. Kitty Pie, giant lie. Yes, 100%. Well, that's good. Dry riverbed goal in Arizona. Oh. Well, guys, one thing I'm going to mention before I wrap up this video, because there's a, how much can we ballroom this, right? I've said, I think, what I wanted to say. So, in my early retirement, we're selling off company assets, properties, and other personal stuff, especially from my store, the Houston Rock Shop. I wanted to show you this. This is an amethyst cluster. Comes out of a volcanic vein or geode. And items like this, I'll be putting up for sale here in the videos. It has nothing to do with Section 8 housing or maybe a Section 8 consultant, which I know Republicans love that. It's okay. I'm all right with that. We can love to hate each other. We can hate to love each other. It's all right. I talk about all kinds of topics, but this and also these crystallized geodes, cracked, cut, polished in half. So if these type of things interest you, it's just one. I'm liquidating roughly $500,000. A lot of household items too, even some of the stuff you see behind it. Because in the third portion of my life, in retirement, I want to get rid of all the things all the trappings of life that keep you frozen in one place. My cats have done a fantastic job of making me extremely hard to move or do things. So this is a tip for us to get in a travel trailer and enjoy all the country has to offer. Come out and see a lot of you guys as I travel and get rid of all these things. Since I don't have any children that are going to receive assets, there's no point in leaving it to the state. God knows I'd do that. I'd rather set all this shit on fire than to pass away and then have the state pick it up. Free money. So I hope to die catless and moneyless, to be honest with you. I spent a lifetime getting all this stuff, and now I want to get rid of it and then just enjoy just traveling the country. God, the idea has kept me up so much the last 3 years. So again, we're starting with that, but I have a lot of interesting stuff, a lot of very nice stuff. And the good news is I'm not looking for retail prices. I mean, any reasonable offers against these items, I'll sell them. Because this stuff can't come with me. And I've got 3 years to do it. I'm heading out between 24 to 36 months. I'm long enough to close out all the cases we have and let go of the final few employees that I have. So whatever means I find possible, sell these items. So anything that I sell would be below the cost at which we purchase. That's below wholesale, below retail, below factory direct for those things that are made that way. Gives you guys an excellent opportunity if you have any interest. So I'll start with that. But I'll bring more things around if you guys are curious. Probably put them on a little website, something simple. Check them out, do it that way, or reach out to our office and discuss it with us, and we can drop it in the mail. I'll mail the next day. And for everybody's sanity, I'll post the tracking numbers on our community page. So you see, I'm not interested in ripping anybody off for $20. I have better things to do with my life. It's not like I'm selling limos here. So yeah, that's what we're going to incorporate a portion of the channel. We have to adopt. The channel has to continue to adopt and change, and reporting on worldwide events and other issues related to housing and food stamps and Medicare, whether you hate it or love it, even immigration issues, and also incorporating a bit of all this stuff I've got that's taking a dramatic amount of time. It would take light years off my life if I could liquidate about $500,000 overnight, but I can't. So every day I wake up and I look at all this shit, And it's like, my God, it's like one package at a time trying to get rid of it. I don't want to spend the next 10 years selling this stuff. And I haven't found a clear way to do it. So, well, moving back to the comments before I close it out. Jeff Rowe, another waste and another abuse. Well, that's certainly one opinion. Diane Alexander, who paid for the expensive brooches that Trump gave the Queen Camilla and Prince Kate? I don't know. I don't keep track of the brooches trading. I'm sure there are lots of liberties and privileges being the number one world leader, including that. And also, you wouldn't want to go down to Dollar General and get the Queen of England, a pair of socks. Okay, so I think we need to think about that when we ask those questions. You don't go and offend the aristocrats of Europe by visiting with the Queen and giving her something from the fucking dollar store. Okay, let's be real here. I understand where you're going with that, but let's be real. You don't show up with Halloween socks for the Queen of England, okay? Or whoever, the Queen or all the other, her extended family. Peace for all, amen. Vernon, I like that. My middle name's Vernon, so food, lead, stockpile. I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds like food, guns, and stockpile food. All right, well, hey, man, whatever tickles your pickle. I'm not going to travel the country with a bunch of food and AK-47s and tour national parks. It's a great way to get 3 hots in a cot in a federal prison. Okay? Golden Mayor. The government budget is always in October, so can the effect now if it's not settled? Look, guys, I have we're talking about this government shutdown. Look, this is going to be the longest one in history. We already know this. Nobody's moving anything. Okay, there's 2 separate bills. It's like if you remember kindergarten, you had all the kids together, and then you got the kids over here, the kids over there, kind of deal. Nobody's trying to talk about this shit. They're just writing fantasy bills on both sides, and nobody's approving anything. So it's just a big shitty stalemate. So, get ready to eat your gobbler for Thanksgiving, all right? So the old fucking turkey on the table. And look, if they run it to then, if they get midway through November and don't solve this, they're gone. You think those people actually work for Thanksgiving? They're going to take off 2 weeks for Thanksgiving, about a month for Christmas. It won't be shit happening until January, okay? If they don't get this resolved, really in the beginning of November, then they're all going to go to break because they're going to be in Southamptons. They're not like us. They're not going to go and drive to their apartment in 3rd Ward. They're going to the Southamptons. President Trump will be at the golf club. Most of the people in the White House, in Congress, those guys will be in the Hamptons and in Miami, hookers and cocaine. Who knows? But the rest of us, so we need to solve this before they make their vacation plans. And all this is about some tax credits. It's a bloody fight that nobody's willing to give up. I've said it once. I've said it before. It's as clear as the paint on the wall. The Democrats have one piece of leverage, and that is this. So they're not letting off. And then they met their match with President Trump because this man don't negotiate. If he tells you he doesn't going to do something, he's not going to do something, he's not going to do it. Now, if there'd been any other president, probably they could negotiate their way out of this hellish shutdown. But this is a perfect storm between 2 parties that are simply not going to cooperate. It's going to come down to public pressure. I mean, it's no deeper than that. It's right on top of the water. This president's not going to approve tax credits. The Democrats are not going to give up the only lever they have, the shutdown. And so you have a perfect storm. And then you add in the holidays. The House and Congress are not going to be working in late November. That's a whole month. I'm telling you, they'll have plane tickets to the Bahamas. They're not going to sit there and worry about this shit because they have money and they have mansions. The rest of us would be at Popeyes having a 3-piece, bitch, because we're not having turkey. Ain't no problem with Pop House if you got that. We got that down south. I don't know about you Northerners. But let's be honest. Be honest with yourself. It's not a deeper conspiracy than that. It's very topical. All right. It upsets me because we need to move on with things, you know. If it's gonna be tough, then let it be tough, but let's move on. Cutie Pie, message retracted. So YouTube didn't like whatever you said. Cutie Pie, if you have any old vintage jewelry, I've got lots of things for sale, guys, but I'm not going to put anything of great value here, okay? I don't know you guys. You guys don't know me. We'll keep it around $20 and $30 items or less. I'm not going to ship out a bunch of money and then look at some charge back and play all those games, okay? You guys are interested in things that I'm selling. Low value stuff's fine. All this stuff, I'll find another means, okay? So, as far as jewelry is concerned, I don't wear a lot. I think I have a gold Versace watch, but I'm not putting that up for sale here. That's just too much. Thor's paralegal. All right, we got a paralegal in the house. Let's see what he's got to say. Jay, I applaud you for your courage to tell your story with all of us and use your learned life experience as a guide to assist us and others. Look, man, I'm just another guy. Just another South Louisiana man that spent more time in Texas than Louisiana. And I'm sharing my personal opinions and trying to make humor of a difficult situation. Trying to host a party where both Democrats and Republicans watch this channel and just trying to see the lighter or tougher side of things. That's all it is. I'm not trying to solve world politics. There's a lot of things I'd rather make videos about than talking about ballrooms, but it caught my eye because we're dealing with a $250 billion dance war. It better have a disco ball in it, seriously. It better be amazing. It better look like something out of the French or the Aristoc. I can't even say the word. The French aristocrats. Gold walls, man. I know Trump likes gold because I've seen a few of his 80s deals. I bet he was quite the. Well, no, I'm not going to say. Annette Gladney. He's not doing nothing but give away our security and land. We've been giving away. Look, President Trump been in the office one term and then portion of this. People that do politics have been giving away the country for hundreds of years. This isn't anything new. This is not like you wake up and, ooh, that's a surprise. Okay, when you allow everybody from different countries in the world to come here and buy up our minerals and other shit, this has been going a long time. This is nothing new. This is not a whoopsie. Okay? We don't get to make those decisions because we didn't go out there and we didn't run for office. We didn't put our own money on the table to become elected. So we just sit in a child seat in the back of the car and we heckle. We're all just hecklers. Okay, you put your money where your mouth is, you get voted in, you do what you want. That's how the game works if you got enough friends. Otherwise, you're in the child seat in the back of mama's Volkswagen, and you're just a little fucking heckler. That's all it is. You're the same as me. We're all riding in the child seat, okay? If you're a lobbyist, you get to ride the front seat, but you still gotta keep your mouth shut. You pay for that ride. Okay, you wanna be a big girl and a big boy? Put your money where your mouth is, vote yourself, get yourself voted into office. Then you can do whatever you want. Barring the Supreme Court don't want you to do it. That's how that works. Otherwise, go get you a little pen from the dollar store that says heckler. That's what it is. All I'm doing is making the comparative right there. Taking the big and sophisticated, we're gonna put it at a dollar store value. Cutie Pie, let them eat cake. Now, I wonder how much a White House cake runs. You probably can't even afford to eat in the gift shop. I heard Donald Trump has a gift shop with his paraphernalia right outside the Oval Office. That man's got some brass on him. But I love it. It's the character of, hey, I'm the boss. I'm running this shit. And whether you work for me or not, It's my way or the government highway. Though it's not always favorable, right? Because no one human does everything perfectly. All right, Mind Blower says eight ball. If they're selling 8 balls in the White House, we're in trouble. That's the last thing is we need an 80-year-old man doing an 8 ball. I wouldn't want to see Trump tweaking in the front lawn. I have traveled all over the USA and little of Canada. Glad you have your goal to do it. Yeah, I'd like to see a lot of national parks. I mean, I just want to see the natural beauty of things and visit with people, try food. And I want to prospect. God, dog it, I want to prospect. You know, prospecting is a little more, you can compare it to an Easter egg hunt. Okay? Just like children. Children want to go after and find things they didn't pay for. Okay, that's the only difference between that and a prospector for gold. Now, the prospector actually makes a little money doing it, so I'd say it's a paid Easter egg hunt. It's a way for you to be in nature, enjoy the undamaged parts of America and its nature, and get rewarded for it if you can get enough of it. Your little piece of America, well, there you go. A little gold nugget, maybe in the river. Forrest Fairley will keep being as blunt and as forward as you've been. Some of us non-snowflakes, green pups, actually respect and appreciate the candor. I can't be any other way. My mother, let me tell you something. They removed the filter on my mouth. And now that I'm closer to retirement, I have nothing to risk, just like Trump. President Trump in his last term has nothing to lose. There's nothing more dangerous than a president last term because he has nothing to lose and he doesn't have to accept anybody's opinion. He just simply he can go out with a flashbang. I'm on retirement. I don't care what I see on YouTube. YouTube can take the channel. I don't give a damn. I've spent 26 years of my career trying to help people through housing and other issues, the elderly, the sick, and many others. Now that I'm at the end of this, I don't care. I don't care what YouTube thinks of my language, my concepts, or my ideas. It's just YouTube. They say it's free speech. We did fight for that. And other people agree don't. So it seems like I have to have an agreeable crowd. Golden Mare. Trump is making the ballroom for world leaders to admire when they visit. Leaders lead, not follow. Trump is a businessman leading our nation. That's my thoughts exactly at the most basic level. So I don't think so much the ballroom is an argument about it. I'm just thinking that we shouldn't have a steak dinner in front of the homeless shelter, okay? I just think the timing is a little bit shitty, okay? That's all. We have a lot of struggles in the country, and to have a steak dinner right now in front of the homeless shelter is a bit weary for me, okay, and bad taste. That's the way I see it. You can agree or disagree. I don't really give a damn. But it's a bad taste. But I understand it has to be done, and it was already planned. It's just maybe the timing was impeccable, not so impeccable, and that sucks, But that is what's the national debate right now. What else has the American public got to do other than debate ballrooms? We're certainly not solving any other crisis right now. Dwayne is one of the longest YouTube names I've ever seen, but I'll be careful what you learn from the baby boomers. Are you talking smack about baby boomers? What about Generation Z? Every generation thinks it's better or worse than the last. Nothing's changed about that in 100 years. So you're sharing the rather obvious, so I won't agree or disagree. RKX, whatever you go, I wish you much happiness. Well, I appreciate that sentiment. I'm not sure what it means. Forrest Fairley, are you speaking such truth and facts right now? Could be. Golden Mare, the household auction might be a good idea for you. Just find quality auctioneer. I'm just trying to find the easiest way, Forrest Fairley goes on, Jay for governor. God, no. I would be a complete tyrant. I don't have the patience. That's why. Well, guys, I've enjoyed talking with you all today and just kind of shooting the breeze. Unfortunately, there's nothing better nationally going on. So this is what we landed with. God knows the next video might be mind-numbing as well. we'll see. For now, I'm going to let this go. I'll let you know more about some of these little things I've got. And if there's an interest, part of anything that I've discussed in terms of stuff we're selling off the estate, just reach out to me. Let me know. You can leave a message on our company phone. We'll have it connected. And I'll get back with you. All right. So enjoy your days, guys. Think hard about the ballroom. Maybe they'll sell tickets. You go to Ticketmaster, get a ballroom ticket. All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye.